Now we have made our basic box, we need to proceed to make it more interesting, more like better looking and more functional. One of the things that a box needs is a lid, and obviously to have a lid you need to be able to attach the lid. So first thing we need to do is add some screw holes and some mounting hardware. So what we're going to do, we're going to come up and go new sketch like we did the last two times, and we're going to select this top face like we've done before. Now we see we're here. Now what we want to do is we want to like sort of put in a circle standoff because we want to be able to mount our bolts to it. So what we're going to do, we're going to come in, we're going to do a rectangle. And we're going to make this say 10 by 10 for now. We're going to do one in each corner. Now notice how in this case I'm not actually typing in a number. All I am doing is just dragging to the snap. You can do this, however, you can still type in 10. Once we've done this, we need to get a circle. Now, you'll notice that your mouse cursor will automatically snap to the center of the square, like it has here. This is really good because we want to add a circle right in the middle of it. So we've clicked with our circle here, and we can drag down. And then if we'll see, it'll snap to this border again, which is what we want. We want it to be 10 millimeters in diameter. However, we can still type in 10. In this case, I put it in wrong. This would normally cause an issue, but what we can do, we can use the dimension tool up here to come in, click on that, and then change that to 10. And we can do the last one, like so. And for our standoffs, what we need to do is add the holes for the bolts to go through. What we can do, come up to circle again, we're going to click here. We want to make these a 3.5mm hole. This will mean we can use a 4mm bolt, and the bolt will tap a thread into it. We'll get more into threads later, but for now, we just need to make this 3.5. We can do this the same for all of them. Now we have done this, we can click Finish Sketch. So now you notice we have this. What we want to do here is actually a little bit more complicated. We're going to need to do two different extrudes. So we click on our extrude tool here. We want to click on this section here, and same here. Now, we could just type in the distance to the bottom, which we know is 67mm. However, there is an easier way. We can simply go to the visibility here, disable our sketch visibility, and click on the bottom face. We could rename our sketch, and this means that our parts automatically snap down to the right length. As you can see here, that is 67mm, as we knew, but it's a really quick thing that will make it a little bit easier. We can go OK. Now what we want to do is make these corners look a little bit nicer. So what we can do, we grab our fillet tool, we can go and we can fillet them. Now I'm only going to show two of these for now, because we'll get to that later. I'm going to type in 10, that's too much. 5. As you can see, that matches the angle of the circle nicely. Another way we can do that is if we go up to our sketch, you can see there's a little eye with a line through it, like we saw before. We can click on that, and then we can extrude these two parts here. We can take them down to the bottom. What we've done here is the exact same thing, except a slightly different way. We've shaved off the extra bit. Now you'll notice this time the sketch hasn't gone away, so we want to untick its visibility. Finally, what we want to do is get our fillet tool, and we want to tidy up the inside edges a little bit. If we go around, we can select these lines. Now if it snaps to the wrong part, you'll need to fix that. See, I've accidentally selected this. I simply click again, and I can go and select these lines. Now I've done this, I'm going to click on the top surface. This rotates me to the top. What I can do now is drag this line until I am happy with the size. I don't necessarily want to be all the way. I'm going to stick with a value of 5mm. We can click OK. And now we have a very basic box. Next thing we need to do is add a lid to our box. So to do that, we are going to create another new sketch on here. We're going to select this top layer, And what we're going to do is we're going to go create rectangle, center rectangle. We're going to use our origin like we did the very first time and do the same dimensions, which was 100 by 200. We can click again, click escape. Now we have a rectangle. What we are going to do now is click finish. Now we can extrude our new shape. So if you click on this, you'll notice you have only selected this one part. But we want to make sure we do this outer contour as well, but not these little edge bits. That will make it look a bit nicer. We want to extrude this 5 millimeters. So if you type in 5, then you'll notice here it says join. We don't want to join. This is very important. We want to click where it says join and change it to new body. What this does is creates a separate object instead of merging with the previous object. This means that we now have a removable lid. We click OK and done. That was very, very simple. The last thing we want to do is we want to create a new sketch on top of here one more time. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn off this sketch. Now if we click on this little arrow here, this will expand the bodies folder. We can come down to body 2 and click on the eye icon. That means we can see what's under here. We're going to use a tool called project. What this does is basically brings the contour we have below these lines to the top level so we can work with them. So where it's project, you can't see it right. What we can do, if we push the S key on our keyboard, we get a shortcuts menu. In here, we can type in project. And we click project. Now, we can simply click the things we want to project, and then click OK. Now you'll notice we have some lines, some purple lines here. What we can do now is one more thing. We need to go in, and you might think, oh, we already have a hole. But the issue is, we don't want our screws to cut into our top hole. If we use a 4mm screw, we know that it is slightly too big for the smaller hole. That means that it will cut its own thread into the plastic. But we don't want that to happen in the top link. You want the screws to go through the holes. So what we're going to do here is make that hole 4.5mm. That means that there is what we call a tolerance. This means that the screw will go straight through without biting. So we can click on the exact center of these circles, it should snap, and type in 4.5. Do it to all this. And finally go finish sketch. Now this is done, we can do our extrudes. Again, like last time, we will need to do 2 separate extrude steps. Go extrude, and this one you have to be very careful. You'll notice that we have 2 options. We can select the inner circle, which we don't want to do, or the outer one. If we select the inner one, we're not going to cut anything, because that's the existing hole there. So we want to make sure we're selecting the outer. And what we can do, like we did before, we can click on the eye icon, which hides the shape below. We can go underneath, and we can click here. Now we are using our sketch to cut all the way through this layer, but not any further. We can click OK, and that's done. Again, we need to come back here and re-enable our sketch. We want to make a little indent at the top to save material and make it look a bit better. What we do is we turn on our sketch again with the visibility, we click on this thing. You'll notice if we put in 1, it will go up. We don't want that. We want to go down, so we add a negative sign. Now if we push OK, we have a nice little ridge. Again, we can come over to the sketch pane and we can toggle the visibility on our sketch. Now we have a box. It looks a lot more elegant now.